But of course, the news that's broken tonight before it could get on this front page is that Rebecca Long-Bailey is now the 6th candidate to enter the race. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's good that the NEC has decided that actually the selectorate will be not just existing members but registered supporters as well. I think at one point there was a question mark about whether that would be the case, which allows others who are supporters or affiliates to be involved in the kind of process. And we now have 6 candidates. I think it looks like it's the current 6. You know, and for me, it's an interesting field. I think there are some good candidates there. And the test for them in this race is not just to win a membership and to appeal to a membership, but to have an eye to the country. You know, you don't go through that sort of a defeat in the general election and not be trying to tell a story about how you're going to try and take the party forward, but more importantly, what it is that you believe as a leader of the Labour Party you can do for the country. So I think some races you can just focus on the membership. I don't think they can do that this time. I think they need to be saying, actually, this is what we have to offer, and they need to be wooing voters that they lost now in order to kind of build up momentum over the next kind of 4 or 5 years. And I think for me, the big thing is, you know, there's lots that has to be learnt about what went wrong in that general election and what drove, you know, voters that have voted Labour all their lives to switch over to the Conservatives. But in all of that, you know, there was a piece that I think where the Labour Party were arguing that the country needs fundamental reform. You know, our economy not working for everyone, public services in crisis, the climate emergency. And I hope the leadership contenders don't lose that. And I hope they take that and actually start thinking about how do you construct a prospectus that's ambitious, that's radical, but that you can convince the country that can be delivered.
So the Chancellor has found the magic money tree.
Well, he has, but you know...
It's the roaring 20s.
It's the roaring 20s. But I think, you know, this is the crux of it, because Brexit was only ever supposed to be a thing because it was supposed to deliver change. And now that we have, you know, the withdrawal agreement is going to go through on the 31st of January, the question then becomes, how do you ensure that Brexit delivers for the country? And that's a much harder proposition. And I think it's good that the government wants to spend more. It's good that it wants to target its spending in parts of the country that haven't seen it as much. But spending money isn't enough. You know, it has to be coupled with reform.
To be fair, that's what Corbyn wanted to do, just spend money on everything, didn't he?
Well,
and that's why everyone thought, well, actually, you can't spend money on everything, and because he seemed to think you could in that manifesto.
Yeah, well, so there was a lot of spending, but to be fair, there was also a story of reform. There was a story of how we start getting the economy to work in a different way, so that it actually works for communities that have been left behind.
But no one thought it was believable. That was the problem.
Well, and that was a problem. But I think what's going to be quite interesting for the Conservatives is I think they will start trying to move into that space. And, you know, there has to be a reform agenda that sits along spending. And if they don't have that, they will fall short. And I think what was worrying that there wasn't much about it in the manifesto, there wasn't much about it in the Queen's speech. So they've got a heck of a job now in order to come up with a proper programme for government.